Welcome to the August 28th Rotary Club of Jamestown noon meeting. I'm hearing myself. Marion, I need you to mute your cell phone. Anyhow, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, singing our national anthem, and repeating the four-way test. I pledge allegiance of the United and to the republic for which it stands. Very good. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And now for our invocation, here's Paulette Klein.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Today I have a little poem from Mary Oliver, who lives in Dublin, Ireland, and the name is Praying. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot, or a few small stones. Just pay attention, then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. This is not a contest, but the doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak.
Thank you, Paulette. And Marion Beckerink with Visiting Rotarians and Guests.
Good afternoon. We are pleased to welcome my old pal, Jeannie Lloyd. It's good to see you back visiting with John. And our steady, I guess, faux Rotarian, Marissa Troxel, is also here. And last but not least, our soon-to-be Rotarian, Jennifer Harper, somewhere out there. There you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. And now, Chris Anderson has someone to introduce.
Yes, we have a special guest today, actually a special guest for the rest of the year and into next year. This is Joaquin Caparros from Brazil. He's our new Rotary Exchange student, so I wanted everybody to welcome him. I'm sure a lot of you have already talked to him already. Joaquin's currently staying with Lisa and Jay Yagi. Then we'll be staying with the Camas next. And then after that, he'll be staying with Keith and Kelly Martin. So welcome, Joaquin.
Thank you, guys. I'm very happy to be here, and I'll I'm sure that it's gonna be a very long year and very happy year for me. Thank you.
Great. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're here. So, announcements. So, as always, many thanks to the Rotary Years recorder today, Eric Harvey, who's on Zoom with us, and to the Communications Committee in general for all that you do for getting keeping our club informed and keeping the community informed about what our club is doing. It just seems to me, and maybe it's because of my position, I'm sort of a focal point, but it seems to me like we have a lot of illness in our club right now. I know I just heard this morning Diana Meckley's got COVID, and poor Irene Dobies has got an abscessed tooth and has to have a root canal. And we've had just a lot of illness. Please, people, pamper yourself a little bit. I'd rather see you here, and thank you so much for everyone who has come today. So take care of yourselves. In this last week, the invitation to Greg and Sue Jones's John D. Hamilton Award celebration came out. I wasn't here when they were surprised with the award, so I know many of you were. It was a wonderful time here. So it will be September 22nd, and you need to make reservations. If you didn't get an invitation, it doesn't mean you're not invited. Everyone is invited. So please go to online to crcf.org and make your reservation. You need reservations by the 15th, and it's going to be at RTPI this year. So let's have a huge showing for Greg and Sue. They're so deserving, as you all know, and we want to make sure that they realize how much the community appreciates all that they do. Immediately following this meeting, there will be a membership orientation, and for Jennifer, and also for Randy, who's not really a new member, but he's a transferring member. So we thought we'd let him know a little bit more about our club. So we will be doing that. Anyone who wants to join us in welcoming them and telling them a little bit about what you do that you think is special for Rotary or that they could do, please join us. Rudy and Laura sent me an email, and I talked to him the other day. They are so busy with all the new students that he apologizes for being in absentia right now. But with his new director, they're just really busy. But one of the really great things that's happening is last summer, Max will remember, and some other people remember, Ismail from Turkmenistan helped us with the Rotary in July exhibit. And in fact, he did a display of what Muslims do to celebrate their holidays. We thought that was appropriate. So now he's completed his studies at JCC, and he has received approval, and many of you know it's not easy to get, to stay and work on an internship project at the Chautauqua Center for the next 6 months. So he's really excited about it, but he needs a place to live because he really can't afford an apartment. It needs to be within walking or bicycling distance to the Chautauqua Center. They're in it's come on, no, it's just down by the hospital. Thank you. What's the neighborhood called, guys? Help me. Went out. No. Brooklyn Square. It's near Brooklyn Square. Yep. Right. Near St. James Church. Yeah. Yeah. So he'll be starting, if he hasn't already, he'll be starting shortly. Yep. So if anyone can help out, he would really appreciate it. So let's see. I wanted to mention, you'll hear more about it, but at the August 18th Board of Directors meeting, we approved an organizational membership. And we will actually do a little presentation for you guys that we'll also be doing for businesses. But an organizational membership, the individual is still the member, and what it will be is one full member, and then up to 3 alternate members, so that they can sort of share a membership. So if it's a situation where it's not possible for one person to come regularly to meetings, that we are hoping there will be companies, organizations that will say, we can commit to having an employee there almost every Monday, but it will be maybe on a rotation or something like that. This will do 2 things. It'll allow people who are full members to not feel so guilty about not showing up every meeting. And it will offer an opportunity for us to get to know other people in the community who might later become full members. So like I said, we'll have more information on that, but I'm really excited that the board has approved the membership committee to go ahead on that. I wanted to mention, I had sent an email out. I got a phone call from Walt Pickett just before the meeting today. And Magnuson is being transported back to being transported to UPMC, probably for the final time. His brother Scott will be here, hope by tomorrow evening. And so, but the people who have been with Mag and have been helping him say that he is very accepting and very much at peace. So I wanted to let everyone know that. So maybe we can have a moment of silence for him. All right. I wanted to announce that we have no meeting next week because of Labor Day. We are looking forward to seeing you all back on September 10th and right here at noon. Randy, you had an announcement.
All of you are well aware that the Jamestown Tarp Skunks had a very exciting and successful season. But you know, our success comes from the sponsorship and the support from the community and the organizations, the businesses. And I'm just delighted that the Jamestown Rotary Club was part of that sponsorship group this year. And Russ will tell you, as president of the board of the Tarp Skunks, that without the sponsorships, without the financial support, we're dead in the water. We cannot continue to operate. So on behalf of the Tarp Skunks, I'd like to present to Ruth, and John I know was involved, Marion was involved, a little recap, a thank you note, a recap of the sponsorship, and a little baseball bat that has a thank you on it. Now, David Troxel, you know, is one of our best fans. Marissa also, I should say. We're not sure how she may continue to use this, you know, throughout her years. So watch out for the black bat.
Very good. I did want to mention Melissa Myers is involved in the art trail again this weekend. So if anyone can support the art trail, and Melissa in particular, please, I put one on each table, and then I stole it off this some table.
So our next meeting after this is September 11th, and that's the day we're doing birthdays. So I'm sending out an email today. If you have a birthday in September, you'll get that email today, just to remind you. And if you still owe your dues, I have a $4,000 invoice from the district due at the end of September. So I need you to pay by September 29th, please, or we're going into the savings account, just so you know, or I'll use the black bat.
Maybe committee chairs are going to sign up to use the black bat. Oh, no. Okay. So please get your tickets ready as we welcome Lori Brocklebank for today's 50-50 drawing. $53 will go to the winner. Why don't you have our, oh, there you go. The last four digits, 0045. 00. Oh, our speaker. Very good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm glad we didn't have him pull it. Very good. Thank you so much, Lori. All right, and please, now I'm happy to report that Doug Conroe is in the back of the room, and he'll probably get fined for that. But anyhow, put your hands together to welcome Mike Roberts, our Sergeant at Arms today.
Doug, I'm going to let you off the hook, but it's great to have you back, and thank you for being here, and I hope you're feeling better real soon. So, okay. Jim turned himself in. Now, this is honorable, right? He forgot his badge, and he turned himself in, so he paid $1 dearly. Where's the cop? Okay, here it comes. Mark Olson, is he still here? He just left. He paid $1 for leaving early, and then he paid $1 because he tried to walk away. But if you didn't see the article in the paper, 43 years of Axiom business. That's super. On a personal note, I don't think I've ever bought a copier from anybody else. He does a super job. Tori Ergang, what exciting news, the John D. Hamilton Award, huh? The Community Foundation puts this on. And, you know, I'm so proud that 2 members of our club, both being past presidents, won. I'd like all the past presidents to come up and donate. Here we go. I'm one. Steve's one. And the reigning past John D. Hamilton Award winner. And yet that counts. And another $1 for leaving early. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Andy. We'll accept that. We'll accept that. Thank you, Randy. Oh, and the past executive director of the Community Foundation. So thank you all. The United Way announced some exciting news, right? We're kicking off the campaign. This year's campaign is going to start September the 14th, 2020 Allen Street Extension, Faulkner, New York, the home of Allied Alarm and Meals on Wheels. I'll put in $1 for that. Does anybody know where the leadership circle is going to be this year? Sure you do. Deb, you would know very well, wouldn't you? It's at the home of Deke and Deb Kathman this year. So thank you for stepping up and showing your support for the United Way. Deb and I have served for a long time together on that board, and we're just grateful. And her and Deke are past campaign chairs. And yes, yes. Where are you going to be Thursday at 5 o'clock? Dan, where are you going to be? So the group that organizes ribbon cuttings is having a ribbon cutting. And I will be there as well. So okay. You have to be there. Yes, yes. With that being said, that's all the scouring of the paper I could find. If you have a happy buck, please come up and join us. I have one. I went to Montana last week. And I stayed in a little place called the Yellowstone Club, and we took a tour of Yellowstone State Park, and it was absolutely amazing. And Karen and I have fallen in love with Montana. We were staying near Big Sky, and it was really, really cool. So if you ever get a chance to head out that direction, please do. So with that, happy bucks, Max.
All right, I have two happy bucks here. First one is I'm looking to get a small little committee together to help me finish planning the mini golf fundraiser we're gonna have this Christmas or around Christmas time. It's really all planned out. Just need some help pulling it over the finish line. So if you're interested, I'll be hanging out here for a few minutes after the meeting's over. Second is our vocational committees. We're looking now to start working with Chautauqua Striders to start offering vocational mentoring and services through them. So a lot of excitement happening there. If you're not on a committee, come join ours.
So I got up here and talked about the upcoming show at Little Theater, which was now this weekend, Annie Jr. And I wanted to pay a happy buck to say that while I was ushering this weekend, I saw Helen Merrill in the lobby. I had not seen Helen since I think before COVID. And so it was great to see her and ask about Norm. And and I think it was nice that she was able to be there and see the show and see that the Gilders legacy is going to go on.
My happy buck is for the Humane Society. I don't know if any of you participated in the Walk for Paws in the past, but it has moved. It's no longer at Chautauqua Institution. It will be at Panzarella Island Park on Saturday, September 16th. You can register online. I'll leave the poster at the sign-in desk, and there's a QR code if you'd like to sign in. But it's definitely a worthwhile organization. Lots of fun. You can dress your pet or dress yourself. So thank you.
Thank you so much for all those happy bucks. Oh,
I have a happy buck just for being here today. Thank you. I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
all right. And I had, as I mentioned, some people who are out and ill. So Diana Meckley wanted to have me to do happy bucks for the wonderful turnout for the Books and Bibs project. And we had a great time, got almost half of the books stuffed into bags. And I think we all had a great time doing it. We also, Walt asked that I put in happy bucks for him, thanking all the people that helped out, Marion Beckering, the Troxels, and others who helped out with Lee getting him set up. And many people have asked, I wanted to mention that Lee does have a dog, and Walt's going to take care of it for right now. But as I said, Lee's brother's coming in Tuesday night, and he may also take the dog. So the dog is being cared for, and we will let Rotarians know if there's any way you can help otherwise. So anyhow, they wanted me to put in happy bucks. And finally, I got an email from George Harper, and he asked me to do these happy bucks. I don't know if he doesn't trust Jennifer. I don't know why, but anyhow, so he couldn't. Yeah. Now you're all but a Rotarian now, and you have to make it good. What's best for all concerned. George couldn't be with us today because half of his happy bucks are to celebrate the induction of Jennifer, which unfortunately didn't get to happen, but we'll take his money. When Jennifer expressed an interest in checking out Rotary, he said, "I was thrilled, and I'm even more excited that she has become a member. I look forward to all the great contributions she will make in the local community and beyond in the months and years to come, and also look forward to our opportunities to serve together." The other half of my happy bucks, yeah. The other half of my happy bucks, George goes on, are because today is the start of my position as the stewardship manager of Science Friday, a weekly science program heard over 400 radio stations in the United States. The position is a wonderful opportunity to employ my passion for and experience in science, science communication, and philanthropic fundraising. You can listen to Science Friday on WBFO, WUBJ each Friday at 10 p.m. or Saturday at noon, or you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. So that's wonderful news. So we're excited for Science Friday to have George. Okay, so at this point, I am happy to call up Steve Sandberg to introduce our speaker.
Our speaker has already made a cameo appearance up here. Speaker is Sam Qadri. Many of you already know Sam. If you don't, please take an opportunity before you leave today. Sam was born and raised in Palestine, West Bank, Israeli-occupied territories. He's a graduate of SUNY College Buffalo. He has master's degrees in both industrial technology and technology education. He moved to Jamestown in 1995 to accept the position of technology education teacher at Jamestown Public Schools. He's a tech and driver's ed teacher at Jamestown High School for 27 years. Sam is also the community outreach coordinator at the Jamestown Islamic Society. Sam?
Thank you, Steve. I do appreciate it. I'd like to ask that whoever is holding that timer, we didn't start yet, 15 minutes on the clock. Let me go ahead and share the screen here. We have I think we put it down here somewhere. There you go. Okay, one moment, please. So I have 5 or 6 slides that I'd like to share with this honorable gathering. And I'd like to also remember to thank you all for having me and for the invitation this morning. The presentation is fairly short, but what we're going to do is we're going to go over the basics and essential questions on what Islam is, who is involved in the Jamestown Islamic Society locally here. And let's see my share screen. For our friends over on the Zoom platform, we're going to share this presentation with you. There we go. Timer begins now. So, ladies and gentlemen, could someone from the Zoom platform give us a thumbs up that you can see us and hear us okay? Can you see the shared screen okay? If not, let us know. Good job. All right, wonderful. I've done multiple presentations a long time ago. In the post, I'll mention this ahead of time, in the post 9/11 era. And I usually got invited to talk about Islam and Muslims and what are Muslims doing in our community, especially in the post 9/11. And I'm very happy that I get invited when there's nothing happening. So this is exciting. I'm very thankful and appreciative that I had the honor and the opportunity to talk about our own local community itself and what we do and how we do it. Okay. Jamestown Islamic Society's website, as you see there, www.jiswiny.org. Very simple, humble website that we have, but very informative. I want to start with some of the basics. The term that you see circled in in the red circle there is the word Allah in Arabic, and that's in the Quranic scripture. But when you go to a Bible in Arabic, also, we have Christian Arabs as well, right, in Jerusalem and across the whole Muslim world. And when you look in the Bible, you also see the same word used as Allah. We don't say God. God is the English word for the supreme being. So the Arabic word, therefore, for the God is Allah. So then what's the message? Muslims don't have a copyright over the word Allah. It just means the God and the one and only God. That out of the way. And then in the basic Muslim belief, what we believe in, that God, the creator, whose Arabic name is Allah, created the universe and angels and you and I, or humanity, and jinns is the second dimension in the spiritual world. Over time, he sent prophets and messengers to deliver the message of oneness of God, that there's only one God, that human beings, children of Adam, are to worship that one God. All the way, starting with Adam and Eve, to Noah, to Abraham, through his wife Sarah, had Isaac, through his wife, second wife Hagar, had Ishmael. Those are our ancestors when it comes to the spiritual and the religious practices that currently we have on earth now. So through Isaac descended Israel, or Jacob, the Hebrew tribe, Joseph, as you know, the biblical terms, right? All of those. Then came Moses, and then Jesus, peace be upon them all. On the other side of the family tree, this is what oftentimes folks are not taught in churches and or in schools. So I'm here to clarify that, right? Because I do believe it's important to make that connection, because it does draw relationship and closeness in the family tree. That's to us is very important. Ishmael is the other side of the family tree, descended what we know today, the Arabic or Arab tribes. And from the Arab tribes came the Prophet Muhammad almost 1,500 years ago in the city of Mecca, in what we know today as Saudi Arabia. So that gives us where the family tree rests as far as historical events and pivotal points and pivotal people who made a difference in the religious world. And each of those prophets and messengers, and we do consider, we the Muslim, again, this is, I know it's a little bit of a religious tone, but it's gotta be clarified, important. So Jesus, Moses, and Muhammad are believed to be all prophets from the Muslim perspective. Jesus was a prophet. We believe he was a man. He was created in a miraculous way through the virgin birth, his mom virgin. So we call him Jesus, son of Mary. We recognize Moses as well as a prophet. He came for his tribe to try to tell the pharaohs, hey, you're living a different life that is not in line with what God wants, and he just wants you to go back and worship him. Same thing with Muhammad. He came in and he, through the scripture, what we call the Quran, delivered pretty much the same message. So he just said to his tribes, to his people, to his relatives, oh, wait a minute, you're off track a little bit here, and all God wants you to do is just come back and worship him so he can attain paradise on the day of judgment. So we do recognize, the Muslim world and the Islam does recognize Psalms, and we call it in Arabic the Injil, the Torah, the Ten Commandments, and of course the Quran, which pretty much recaps all of those stories in the biblical world, right? Those prophets lived mostly in the same geographical region, and essentially they basically taught the following. Now, when you look at this list and you think, wow, that makes sense, that you can recognize this from your perspective if you have any of those religious backgrounds or faiths or educational backgrounds on that. Worshipping one God, the golden rule, right? The Ten Commandments, honoring their parents, common greetings of peace. We say in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum. When I attended church services, I have a lot of friends, who've invited me, and I would hear them say, "Peace be with you." What that translates to in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum. It's the same exact literal translation, word for word. What we just said in Arabic. And our, Western Christian folks say it in English. That's all, just a different language. Purification, they taught cleanliness and self-hygiene always, all the time, especially prior to prayers. They forbade eating pork, consuming intoxicants, gambling, homosexual behavior and acts, usury, which is interest in any business transaction. They blessed men marrying women and women marrying men, caring for the less fortunate, providing refuge to all victims of all types of injustice and for the lost and the helpless, and practice the best of honorable manners. And the recognition that we human beings will all be individually held accountable on Judgment Day. In the end, paradise for those who follow God's laws and guidelines, and the hellfire would be for those who intentionally stand silent and idle and do not. So in the Islamic world, from a Muslim perspective, the belief is basically the 5 pillars of Islam. Those are taught across the whole universe of what the basics of Islam is: the pilgrimage, fasting, charity, charitable donations, declaration of faith, and praying 5 times a day. The Muslim community and local Islamic society, what do we do? Very simple. Establish, that was by, if anyone remember, Dr. Paruk and Dr. Galil, local physicians, both. Dr. Paruk passed away a long time ago. Dr. Galil just retired back to Egypt, but he came back to Buffalo, and his children are all married and with families in the area as well. That was in 1986. So when I came in 1995, there was a little bit of a activity, was going on, and I just basically supported it. Serves spiritual and religious needs to about 15 to 20 area Muslim families and their children. Always strives to promote education through example and application, personal and community rehabilitation through spirituality, community building through fostering partnerships with other faith groups, regional, individual, and collective spiritual enrichment. So the Jamestown Islamic Society is not something that's new in the area. Certainly, our involvement in the community might have increased over time. That's because I believe we need to be out there more, and that's all, participating and just helping out. So some examples of our current involvement is with the local refugee resettlement program with the new neighbors here locally, with St. Luke's Church, Zion Convent, and a couple of other churches in the area. Because again, that's what Jesus taught, that's what Muhammad taught, that's what Moses taught: helping the helpless and providing a refuge, a little bit of a sanctuary for those who in need of help, especially if they have suffered injustices across the world. And that's, I still believe, what America is all about, and I will continue to believe what that is until something changes drastically. But that's what we're going to continue working with. Questions? Go. Oh. Yes. Indeed, yeah. See, that's a very good question, and I'll give it a little bit of a couple of lines of depth. God gave a holy day for the through Jesus, the day Sunday, the first day of the week. He gave Moses Saturday, and he gave Muhammad Friday. Yeah, this is in the scriptures. That's why Christians celebrate congregational prayers on Sunday, the Jewish Sabbath on Saturday. For the Muslims, it's Friday afternoon. Yeah. At our mosque on North Main Street in Jamestown, just next door to Dr. Pepe's office. Go ahead. Another question came up. Just make sure the button is on. Is the button on? I'll repeat that question. Right. Could you remove the from your mouth so I can see what you're saying? Go ahead. Yes. Got it. The question was about why why do Muslims go to the Hajj in Mecca in Saudi Arabia every single year, to the tune of 2.5 million to 3 million Muslims from across the world participate in, ready, just celebrating the life of Abraham with his wife Hagar and Sarah, and the building the concept and celebrating the concept of monotheism, worshiping one God. It is believed by the Muslim faith that that particular area, the Kaaba or Mecca, that house of worship was built first by Adam and Eve when they sent down from heaven to earth. They were the first ones to build that house of worship. Then Abraham came afterwards and he rebuilt it, reestablished it, and then continued the same generation after generation after generation through the Prophet Muhammad. He also renovated and rebuilt it until today's date. Of course, the Saudis now are the custodians of that particular house of worship. And that's why Muslims are required to go once in a lifetime, if able, physically, financially, and mentally, to be able to do that, one-time pilgrimage. And it's what it does is basically a spiritual uplifting. You become a born-again Muslim, so to speak, if I may borrow that term. I know. So you become you have a brand new page with God. It's an opportunity for repentance. It's an opportunity to provide to those who in need, a lot of charitable donations, a lot of animal sacrifice, just like what Abraham did. So we give that meat. I was just actually in the farm 2 days ago, and we slaughtered a couple of lambs and said, okay, so what is the practice? It's basically remembering what Abraham did and the concept of a sacrifice. Sacrifice what then, right? What are we sacrificing? Time, money to give, time to worship, sacrifice time, schedule time to worship God, because we owe him a lot, we owe him a lot, right? So in thanking to him, right? So we sacrifice some of our busy lifetime, right? And we say, I want to worship you those 5 minutes, or for us, 5 times a day. So we sacrifice money. How do we all of the wealth that we accumulate over time? By the way, none of us, we know that, will take that wealth from us with us to the grave. We just go with our deeds, whether be it good or bad. So we say, well, I want to share that some of that money with the less fortunate. That's why there's charity, right? That's the concept of reliving, practicing, gaining a little bit of an opportunity to use it as maybe even a way to have repentance. We sin all the time. Well, do I sound like a preacher in a minute? But we need to bring this in our reality of life. Life is not all playing and games and all that, to be honest with you. We need to, I feel from a Muslim perspective, we feel that we've got to integrate the acts of worship throughout our daily routines so we don't forget about the one who created us and gave us all of these gifts that we have. That's all. Go ahead, Maria. Thank you. What does the Taliban advocate that you understand? Hatred towards what and who? Excellent. So we share something with the Taliban. We, the Muslim world, share something with the Taliban, which is basically we believe in God, right? And the Prophet Muhammad. The variance and the difference is, right, the way they apply what they think they interpret, the interpretation of the culture is. So please understand the difference, that there is a cultural routine and practice that they practice that does not exist in Islam. Example, the full head cover, for example, we call it the niqab, right, in Arabic. That's not required in Islam. A woman may show only the face. She doesn't have to, to cover the full face. So that's a cultural practice in their locality. Hatred, Islam has nothing to promote. There's no verse in the Quran or in the hadith, which is the life of the prophet, that promotes hatred towards other human beings. On the contrary, it promotes love and respect. When Omar, the second caliph of the Muslim world, after the Prophet Muhammad passed away, when he took over and when he went to Jerusalem, he was invited by the priest of Jerusalem to come and take the key, to Jerusalem. After the conflict that happened with the, between, the Christians and the Muslims, there was obviously that conflict in the early times. But he came in and he said, we're not going to touch any of your churches. He was invited to pray in a church as a respect, and he said, no, we're supposed to respect your church and allow you to worship and allow you to be and let be, because we're supposed to have peaceful, agreements with you, politically speaking. So that's just a simple evidence that the example that we follow from what Muhammad taught conflicts with the practices, many of the practices of what the Taliban did, especially rights of women too, by the way. So that when you look at the scripture and when you look at the teachings, a lot of conflicts that do exist in that regard. I mean, we don't have enough time to go through all of this here, but just to give you a couple of notes that if you go back and study it and research, you'll find those conflicts. But I just mentioned a couple of them. Go ahead. Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Shia is basically Shiaism is the ism terminology, is a group that existed in the early presence of the Muslim world after the passing of Muhammad. They basically wanted to promote a specific individual from their own tribe whose name was Ali, who ended up being one of the companions who also was a caliph, meaning a president or a leader for the community. And they didn't want someone else than him. So a political conflict ensued. So it's an offshoot, basically now forming approximately 15% of the Muslim world, but basically promoting the leadership to the Muslim world that are descendants of Ali, and specifically only those leadership, right? Where the Prophet Muhammad taught opposite of that. He said, if you want to pick a leader, it has to be from among the current Muslim community. They need to be, well educated, of wisdom, of honorable behaviors, things that are, and by consulting and consultation, that brings up the council concept, which is you have to vote him in almost, kind of a selecting and voting people in. Today we call it voting. A long time ago, they just said, okay, let's sit down at smaller communities, and they basically picked someone. In a way, it's voting also. So there was, democracy going on even within that encounter or atmosphere when it comes to picking a president from their perspective, so. Opposite of what goes on today in Muslim countries, they don't have that. And this, again, where's the conflict of how do they pick presidents? They just appoint each other. So again, it conflicts with the basic principles of Islam. So therefore, if I were to encapsulate that, the difference between what Islam teaches and what some Muslims may do can be vast. And then how do we tell the difference? By educating ourselves. And as Muslims, ourselves, I re-educated myself about my own faith multiple times. How do I do this? How do I give charity? How do I fast? How do I pray? Yeah, I was born in a Muslim family, but when I became an American Muslim, meaning I became a naturalized citizen of the USA, and I'm a Muslim by birth, and I kept my faith. I wanted to keep my tradition and prayers and all that. So I had to go back and restudy and reread a lot of that information. And that helps. It helps me recognize and see what is going on across the pond, across the Atlantic Ocean, and certain Muslim countries. They're not, many of them in governments don't do what Islam says of justice, equality, just the basics of what Muhammad taught and what the Quran teaches, really. That's absent in that, currently in that body of governments that they have. They could claim that, but I would dispute it, and I would point out exactly what I dispute. But I'm not there, so I'm here. I can just talk about it. Hi, Ruth. She's looking at me. Ruth is saying, "I see you done." Okay. Any other questions while Ruth is walking over? Get another one in. No. All right, I'll give you the mic. Thanks.
So much. That was so very interesting, and we all appreciate your coming. We want to let you know that one of Rotary's major international programs is to eradicate polio in the world. And in your honor and to your presentation, our club will today make a donation in your name that will vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio. So, okay. Oh, oh, it's going to the back, but we can get it there. Well, thank you. Is this for polio? Okay, where would we like to put it? Well, thank you so much. And this year's Rotary International theme is Create Hope in the World. So with that in our hearts, let us adjourn.